so far. Very interesting. Including this obnoxious style of driving this person has in front of me. 80 kilometers. On the highway, through town, everything 80 kilometers. Speed limit's 100 here, we're doing 80. I can't pass, I'm too heavy. Just there's no way of passing. You have to be a little lighter and you'd have to be going a little slower. Make it as easy for the people behind me to pass me so they can start getting past the Kia Soul in front of me. It passed me about half an hour ago climbing a hill where I was under 80 kilometers an hour. But yeah, at least we don't have to slow down. But it is what it is. I'm right after Rock Creek. Here's a big climb. The road also splits, so there's a chance they're going to turn off. And if not, there's a big climb. I should lose them there. They should. Hopefully they'll get way ahead of me. And then no worries. Gonna lose them soon. Excuse me. I swear. As soon as I start talking to you guys. Let's move that microphone. As soon as I start talking to you guys, I start sneezing. I'm allergic to you guys. That's all there's to it. I don't see any brake lights for that 50. Oh, there's some brake lights. When we went to Greenwood, no brake lights at all. Maybe because of the corner. We'll see. Do they turn off here? They do. They turn off here. Whew. That's okay. I'm a pretty patient driver. Sometimes I need a little more patience, but I'm pretty patient. So yes. Time for the big climb. Anarchist. So yeah, last night I managed to get the home hardware trail delivered in trail. And got there half an hour before they closed. Apparently they closed at 5:30. I got there at 4:30. Got unloaded. Drove to Salmo. And cleaned out my trailers. My trailers are in Salmo. They're not my trailers anymore. I have an incredibly old set of trailers behind me. The trailer I had was SB161. Ever since they started numbering trailers, the numbers have always counted up. So I had trailer 161, which was one of the newest trailers out there. There's no numbers on these trailers, but on the paperwork, they're trailer number 113. So that's at least 50 trailers old. Old trailers. They haven't been on the road for years. Kind of just sat in the yard, rusting away. So actually a nice set. It really is a nice set. There's a mechanical issues with it, but it's a nice Depker set of trailers. 3 toolboxes. It's not the perfect setup, and no chain hangers and stuff like that, but really good winches. All the winches work. That's better than my Raja I had. So for how old the trailers are, they're not bad. Not that displeased with them. But there's a reason they don't have a trailer number on them anymore. We're selling them. So they fixed these trailers up. They did a safety on them, replaced a bunch of brake pods and shocks and wiring and lights. Having said that, in the morning, did my full pre-trip. Last night I moved all my stuff over to these trailers. Took me 2 hours to move everything over. Did a lot of organizing while I was doing it. Spring cleaning if you're going to move everything over. Yeah, did my pre-trip. Found one of the marker lights was not working. Fiddled with those long enough till it did work. It's like, nice, okay, those work. Then I found a rear signal light that wasn't working. Couldn't figure out where the short was, so I left it for today morning and got the guys in the shop to look at it. He found the short pretty quick and fixed it. Unfortunately, an hour down the road, they weren't working again, so I jumped out and I saw where he was fiddling with wires, and I'm like, wonder if he never actually fixed the actual problem. Wonder if it was just like a short circuit in the connector. So I took all the pins in the trailer, took a screwdriver, and all the pins are like divided in half, and just squeezed the screwdriver between all the pins so that the pins all spread out, and then reconnected it, and sure enough it all worked. So it's just a connection issue. So I had that fixed. Thumped all my tires and found one that was flat. Got the guys in the shop to look at that too, and they couldn't find the flat tire. He had a rubber mallet and couldn't find it with a mallet. He goes, "What'd you thump them with?" I'm like, "With my ball peen hammer." He goes, "Are you sure it's flat?" I'm like, "Yes." After I thumped them and heard one that sounded wrong, I pulled out my pressure gauge, air pressure gauge. All the rest of the tires are at 105 psi, 110. That one's at 40. I know we're selling the trailers, but I still have to safely make the trip to Vancouver to sell them there. So I loaded at Klesnikov. If the trailers are getting delivered to Vancouver, they might as well bring a load with, right? So I'm delivering at Modern Terminal in Richmond tomorrow morning. And they're getting sold actually in Chilliwack at Ritchie Auctions or something like that. I think I've seen that before, a big auction yard. So dropping off there tomorrow. So I've got to clean all my stuff back out of them tomorrow. I've got a bunch of stuff in the cab here already. The passenger side seat is completely filled up. Good thing Jess isn't with. She would have nowhere to sit. And then I'm going to pack some more stuff on my bed. I've got a tarp. I'll just throw a tarp over the bed and pack some more stuff onto the bed tomorrow morning. And the rest of the stuff, like the tarps and dunnage, I'm going to strap to the back of the truck. And then I got a bobtail to Kamloops. Apparently my trailers are in Kamloops. I picked up some new license plates for that trailer. My new trailer number will be SB164. Will be the very newest trailer at Sutco. Not one of the newest, the very newest. I'm told they're spec'd exactly the same trailers as the ones that we delivered to Salmo 2 weeks ago. Not quite exactly the same trailers, but the same specs. They don't have the Sutco logos on them. They don't, and they're painted black instead of green. So we'll see once I get there. See if they're truly spec'd the same way. But they're Depkers, so Depker will be a new Depker will be a huge increase, a huge improvement over my 2-year-old Rajas. I intend, if these trailers are indeed spec'd the same way as the ones in Salmo, I intend to keep these trailers for as long as I can. I already have some ideas of, I'm going to drill some holes in one of the toolboxes and rivet on some hooks so I can keep my bungees inside the toolboxes. There'll be room for some of my tarps in toolboxes. There's 4 toolboxes, not very big ones, but 4 toolboxes. So if indeed those are the trailers I'm picking up, I'm excited, also nervous. I'm told that's what I'm picking up, but you never know, right? Until you see them, you don't know what you're actually getting. So I'm optimistically hopeful that I'm going to have an awesome set of trailers. No more busting knuckles on those Raja trailers every time you turn over a winch. And some of the winches didn't work from day one. So I'm optimistic that I will have a pretty sweet set of trailers. So we'll see. We'll see. I've got to drop off a bunch of straps and some dunnage at the Chilliwack office before dropping off the trailers and then getting all my stuff out of there. Strap the dunnage to the back of the truck in front of the fifth wheel. I think so. I'm going to try anyway. Maybe I'll do a test fit tonight just to make sure it's going to work before dropping the trailers and then being in trouble. I'd rather drop the dunnage in our Chilliwack office. Drop the dunnage there if I can't strap them down. It's been another rainy day again, on and off rain. It was raining while I was strapping down this load. Supposed to clear up and get sunny in the next couple of days, so we'll see. I'm quite enjoying this rain. It's more comfortable working out in the rain than in blistering heat. Yeah, I'm not super heavy. I was a little nervous about this load. I'm like, what kind of load am I going to get? I don't know these trailers at all. how many PSI can I load up. But when I looked at the gauges, there's little black lines drawn on the gauges. So I've just taken it for granted that the person that had these trailers before me drew lines where the max load was. So there's two different lines. I'm assuming one is a US load and one's a Canadian load. So I stayed right below those lines, so I haven't hit a scale yet. I'm hopeful that those lines are accurate. I'm down to a quarter tank of fuel. I guess I'll fuel up in Osoyoos. I could probably stretch it to Princeton. Maybe I will stretch it to Princeton. We'll see. If it drops below a quarter before Osoyoos, I'll definitely fill up in Osoyoos. If that lumber mill would ever open again. I guess probably not anytime right now, soon, because right now there's just mill after mill after mill is announcing slowdowns or shutdowns, 1 week, 2 week shutdowns, and then a couple mills are shutting down, period. They're just closing and everybody there has lost their job. Just keeps popping in the news over and over and over. So-and-so mill shut down, such and such mill shut down, shut down, shut down, shut down, shut down. It's like, that is not a good sign. I asked Klesnikov Lumber why they don't have any shutdowns. And he just goes, smaller company, they don't have shortage of fiber right now. They have enough, when I say fiber, enough trees to cut down. They've got enough trees to cut down to keep going, and their customer base is unique. Klesnikov Lumber cuts their lumber to size for whatever the customer wants. It's a lot more work to reset all your tools to cut to a certain size, certain length. So they customize the loads, so because they're a small company, they can afford to customize the loads and have a customer base where maybe not every 2x4 is 8 feet in a house. Maybe houses in certain parts of the world are a little bit shorter, a little taller, a little. Klesnikov has a huge contract with Japan, so export a lot of lumber to Japan. Customize the bundles perfect size so they just slide right into a container in Richmond. That's where we always drop off in Richmond. There's a couple of places there that we deliver to, and they load the stuff into a container and it goes onto a big boat, goes across the ocean. I record here often? Maybe I do, I don't know. I forget where I've recorded video and where I record less often. Ostrich, fun facts. Jess was just saying a couple weeks ago, if she didn't know if those are emus or ostriches in the, I guess now we know the answer. They've put up a sign. Ostriches, fun facts. This way is 35 kilometers. It'll take a while. Gotta do some climbing first. Brake check is 16 kilometers away. At least my GPS says there's a rest area 16 kilometers away, and the rest area is right across from the brake check. Sometimes I go to the rest area instead of the brake check and check my brakes in the rest area. Why not? Gotta be careful though pulling into the rest area. If there's a bunch of cars in there, I could get myself in trouble very quick with a Super Bee. I should have looked at what year those trailers were. Hungry. I had lunch already. What, an hour ago I had lunch? I feel hungry. Made myself a peanut butter sandwich. I've got no food within reach. Very important when you're a trucker. Keep food out of reach, or else you'll gain an unhealthy amount of weight. Truck rolled over here 2 years ago. Coming downhill, came around that corner too fast and blocked this whole highway. You can still see the marks in the pavement there, the grooves. A truck rolled over by Johnson Creek. We drove through that a little bit ago, and another truck rolled over on that when we first started climbing at a Rock Creek, that first 30-kilometer corner. Truck rolled over there too. So since I started recording, 3 trucks have rolled over in the last 2 years in this stretch of highway. Funny enough, all 3 the same company. Oh, Although they seem to have gotten everything in line now. I haven't seen that company do a rollover now for a while. They had quite a few this spring, well, late winter, and then they stopped. I wonder if their insurance skyrocketed. I can guarantee their insurance skyrocketed. Those vehicles sure add up fast behind you when you're slow. Here we go, getting close to the summit, Anarchist summit. It's always a big long climb. Gravel trucks. I wonder if they're gathering gravel for the winter. It's the company that takes care of the winter, salting and graveling the roads in the winter. Now here we start going downhill. And I like to stay at about 80 kilometers an hour going down this hill, because you can gain speed and easily fly down here at 100 kilometers per hour, and then you have to be on the brakes quite hard because there's a sharp corner going down. So if you keep at 80, it saves quite a bit of brakes, I feel. Some people still know how to pass safely. Majority of the people pass safely. Just always a couple of bad drivers in there. I guess we always focus on the negative, huh? Shouldn't do that. Here's our corner. Because I was already going 80, all I have to do is slow down 10 kilometers. Barely tap the brakes a little bit, drag it a little bit at 5 psi, and you drop down, no problem. If you're going 100, you got to do a lot of work to get it down to 70. Mexican food. Unfortunately, there's no place that I can park to go check it out. I love my Mexican food, but I can't go find out if I like their Mexican food. There's nowhere to park. Oh, RCMP ghost truck. People tend to speed like crazy in this section, so good place for a cop to be hanging out if he wants to write out a couple of speeding tickets. 7 kilometers to go to the brake check. What do we do at brake checks? Legally, all I have to do is stop and record it in my logbook. That's the way the law is written. Don't have to get out. But best practice is to get out, check all your tires, touch them all to see if one of them's hot. If one of them's hotter than the other, it's probably losing air pressure. Check all your hubs. Make sure none of the hubs are hot. If they're hot, you've probably got a bearing going bad on you and you're going to lose those wheels on the highway. Check all your lights. Make sure all your lug nuts, no streaking, so there's no lugs coming loose. You're going to lose tires down the highway. And then, of course, the actual brake check. The actual brake check isn't necessarily the most important part of doing a brake check. If you don't have tires, the best brakes in the world aren't going to help you. So you got to make sure you've got all your tires up. And the actual brake check, you just look down at each axle. We call it looking at our 90s. If the brake, I don't know what to call it, the lever is at a 90-degree angle, that means the brakes are set right and you have good brakes. You don't have to actually crawl underneath the trailer and look at all your brake pads. You do that at your pre-trip when you start the day. You make sure all your brake pads are good. And of course, one other thing you do is make sure your load's secure. Most of the rollovers happen because of the load shifts. You're going too fast, the load shifts over sideways, and there's no stopping that. So you want your load to be nice and secure as well. All important facts to have all that correct to safely make it down the mountain. Touching the hubs is something I never see anyone doing. Ever. I've never seen a driver walk around touching hubs. Something I do quite regularly. Especially if you have a new trailer or a new old trailer like this one, where you have no idea this trailer's how many years this trailer sat there not driving. No idea if during that time one of the bearings is seized up and no longer works. They did a safety on it, but doing a safety in the shop is completely different than finding things that are on the roadway. Paulson, when I touched the hubs, I had 2 hubs that felt just slightly warmer than the others, but nothing to be concerned about. That always happens where one hub will be warmer than the other. I don't know why, but if there's ever a hub that you touch it and you yank back because it's too hot for your fingers, you're going to burn your fingers, that one's in trouble. I wouldn't drive any further. Make some phone calls first. So if you're a Flatlander driver and never have to worry about stuff like that, best practices would be that. Sasquatch, if you guys didn't see the back of Sasquatch there, I told you he's real. He's real. Standing right there. I slow down at the top of the hill here because the brake check is at the bottom. I never understand why the brake check wouldn't be at the summit of Anarchist. Why is it down here after you've gone downhill for a while? Thank you for watching. Hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed. We'll see you guys tomorrow. hopefully I got some new trailers to show off. And I don't like where that motorcycle is. I can't go on either side properly. The way he's parked in the middle. It's quite an obnoxious way of parking.